Okay, just clean the screen there. My colleague and I have worked on what we'd like to outline for the form. It's a combination of static information that is required to fill in, and then a few things that are dynamic that change. I'll just explain. So for your static information, you got your personal information, your name, your surname, address, suburb, contact information, your cell number and email address. Then dynamic would be driver's license. Do you have a driver's license? Yes or no? Your age group, your gender, your race, just sort of demographics, just for us to collect statistical information. The country we live in. Skill level. This is dynamic, so I've expanded on that. Under skill level, I want 3 options, and then a drop-down menu. It doesn't really matter which one they click. It's not actually related. That's a piece of information that we'd like to collect from the database. Skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled. But once you've selected one of these, a drop-down opens up, and now it queries your education. And in your education, I'm going to ask 2 questions. 1, do you have a matric, which is your 12th grade? And 2, do you have any tertiary education? So it's a yes or no question. So this one doesn't really link much to here, but this one does. So if in their tertiary education they answer yes, in their tertiary education, if they answer yes, then they'll be prompted with a query as to what is it? Is it a degree? Is it a diploma? Is it a higher certificate? And then a further drop down asking what field of study, like what discipline did they study? Was it engineering? Was it working as a chef? Working in whatever the industry is. So a drop down with a selection, and then I'll give you the criteria of what I'd like as options for them to choose. And then once they've selected their field of study, they need to indicate their experience level and training. So when you get a degree, when you get a diploma or a qualification, you get your in-service training, or you work as an apprentice, or whatever the case may be. So I want an option for them to indicate how much training and experience and experience that they have with that particular qualification. After that, I'd like an additional field of study in the case that they do have another degree or diploma or certificate. So it's basically the same thing. Again, that's education. Now we go down to experience. So do they have experience? It's a yes or no question. If no, then I move on to the next block. But if it's a yes, then the query is what industry. So I want a drop-down menu for the industry. Then their designation, I want a drop-down menu for what position did they work. Was it a manager, junior manager, assistant, whatever the case is. I'll give you the list of categories, and then amount of time that they've worked. These are just this is just something that they choose, like less than a year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 4 years, and then 5 years plus. So if you have a look in terms of skill level, what they are doing is essentially selecting one of these: unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled. A drop-down menu for their education. It queries their education. They select whether they have matric and tertiary education. If it's yes for tertiary education, a drop-down menu will expand and asks them further questions. If it's no, then that's grayed out, or they don't get to fill that in. So it's sort of giving you the option to choose. So if it's a yes, it expands. If it's no, they don't need to answer any of these. Then they come down to experience. Do you have any experience? Yes or no? If no, that's grayed out. They don't fill it in. If they do have experience, it expands, and then they get to indicate what industry, what designation, and how much experience they have, how many years of experience. After they fill this in, then they get an option to upload information. So they get to upload a cover letter or a reference letter. They get to upload their CV or resume. They get to upload any certificates and qualifications that they have. They get to upload their identification documents and their driver's license. And then optional, uploading a picture of themselves. So that's basically it. You get your personal information, and then you get skill level, education, experience, then uploading information.